So good afternoon, everybody. As you come into the room, we're just going to give people a few minutes to come into the room before we kick off. But thank you for taking the time to join us this afternoon. If you can see Glenn and I on screen in a little box somewhere, just pop a note in chat for us to tell us that you can hear me and you can see both of us, because that's always a good start. We are going to be running for about 40-45 minutes today, so I will have you back to the day job by 2:45, and the chat is coming in, so that's always a good sign. Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Hilary. Nice to see you, Hilary. So let's get cracking as people finish coming into the room. Welcome to this month's App Advisory Plus App of the Month webinar. We are delighted to be joined by Glen Foster and Libeo today. Many of you, I'm sure, will know the legend that is Glen Foster from his many years in accounting fintech. So we've got a really interesting session for you today, thinking about payments, innovation that's coming from the payment space at the moment. We'll talk a bit more about general innovation and how we kind of feel it's been a bit flat for a while, but it's kind of exciting that we've got some real innovation in the payment space at the moment. And if you haven't had a chance to take a look at what Libeo offers, Glen's going to run us through kind of high level in terms of what Libeo is about and what they're doing in the space in the UK at the moment. So let's do some introductions. For those that don't know me, my name is Will Farnell. I'm founder of Farnell Clark and co-founder of App Advisory Plus, and I'm delighted to be joined today by Glen. Glen and I have known each other for many years now. We always enjoy a good chance to chat all things technology. Glen, just in case anybody's been under a rock for the last 14 years or so, do you want to just tell people who you are?
Yeah, thanks, Will. So yeah, I'm Glen. As Will says, I've been in, I guess, the accounting software world for quite a while now. I started off at MYOB. Anybody with Australasian roots will remember them. They spent a bit of time in the UK, moved over then into Walters Kluwer, who ran CCH for a couple of years, and then about 12 and a half years ago made that transition over to kind of an early stage online bookkeeping company called Xero, and spent the kind of 12 years there before kind of taking this opportunity at Libeo about 3 months ago now. It's crazy and stuff. It's go fast. Like, I'm only about 11 weeks in, I think, but it feels like I'm a piece of the furniture now.
Brilliant, thanks, Glenn. And we'll talk about kind of Libeo and what Libeo do in a moment. But just so everybody's clear on what we're going to talk about today, we've done some intros, we've done some welcome. We're going to talk about the payments landscape. So why is this so exciting? I'm really excited about payments, and I've said to a number of people over recent months that this is the first category of technology in about 10 years that I look at and think, this has application across our entire client base, and we've got to go back to kind of Stripe and go cardless and Dex, now a seat bank, to kind of have another category where we thought, whatever kind of client we've got, as long as they're a business client, there's an opportunity for them to get some value here. So we're going to talk about what it is, why it's hot, what it is, how it works. Glen's going to fill us in on that. We're going to talk about the opportunities for accountants and bookkeepers to help clients and think about, I'm sure many of you here are doing amazing things with outsourced finance functions. How can we use payment technology to kind of take that to the next level and perhaps extend that offer to slightly smaller clients as well? Where Libeo fit into this, and these sessions are always great if we get some questions. So if anybody's got questions, please chuck them in a Q&A box as we go through the session, and we'll either pick them up at the end, or if they're relevant to something we're talking about, I'll interrupt and we'll pick those up. So before we get into that conversation, Glen, do you want to just kind of talk to us about Libeo? You're 3 months in. Who are they? What do they do? And perhaps most importantly, why did you feel that, of all the opportunities that were clearly going to be open to somebody with your stature and experience, why did you choose Libeo?
Yeah, I think who we are. So we're a French fintech, so French headquartered, kind of founded 2018, 2019 times. We're a few years old and fairly well established in France. About 140, 150 people, and did a Series A last year. So we raised some funding to kind of scale the business across Europe. Like that's the goal. We hold a European payments license. So yeah, the attraction there is to continue to build our business across Europe, and we focus quite heavily on accounts payable, but also the accounts receivable in France, and also the approval side of it as well. So I feel like we're starting to knit a few workflows and functions together to make it easier for business owners, but also accountants and bookkeepers to either take on payments or at least provide some support for their clients around making that a bit easier. And as you said, the payments landscape is pretty hot these days. I think naturally, like for years and years and years, like people have focused heavily on the account receivable side. You've got your Stripes, Squares, PayPal's, like easier to pay up front, and maybe accounts payable hasn't had as much innovation, certainly not in small to medium sized businesses. And the beauty of the cloud and the internet, right, it's the same thing it did for bookkeeping, is it brings world-class technology and allows you to disperse it across millions of customers for a reasonable cost. And that's the goal, to bring world-class accounts payable technology into the hands of business owners and accountants. And hopefully, my life's goal is to just have a tiny impact on that late payments epidemic that exists. If I can just feel like I've contributed a small way to getting business owners paid a little bit faster, then I'll probably die a pretty happy man at some point.
Brilliant. And I mean, why Libeo? In terms of you personally, as say you clearly understand this space really well, given what you've done for the last 12 years. So I'm sure there would have been lots of doors open to you. So what was it about Libeo that made you think, you know what, this is the right place to be?
Yeah, the people initially, and I was kind of lucky at Xero to have a kind of a career and a place of work that was fun with good people. So always knew that once you've experienced that, you never want to give it up. So the people were a big draw. They were passionate about the problem. They were well funded, so the ability to go and do some cool stuff and really help address those problems was attractive. And it felt like a problem that could be fixed. I felt like there was actually isn't a complicated problem, and actually what payments products do isn't necessarily complex on the face of it. Under the hood, it's a bit more complex to build, but actually making it easier for people to get paid faster shouldn't necessarily be too difficult. So yeah, the attraction of the people and really being able to have an impact on a problem that maybe hadn't been properly addressed was really attractive. And I've always enjoyed, my favorite time at Xero was probably the first 4 or 5 years, where I just wanted to introduce new technology to people. Start to show them what it could do, show them how it could work in a slightly different way, and the ability to do that again was probably, it was just too much to give up at the time, and made the leap over.
Yeah, excellent. So let's talk about payments generally, because as I said, you've got reasonable level of competition in this space at the moment. I mean, firstly, how much of it is driven by open banking? I guess is the first question, because some of these payment tools are using open banking, some are not using it in the same way. So is that the catalyst as a start point? Is it open banking that's opened the opportunity here?
Yeah, I think you call it a catalyst. People, it tends to be 2 payment routes: open banking or digital wallets. They tend to be the 2 ways that people deal with payments. Wallets aren't new. There's businesses out there, especially spend management, card companies, that have been doing that for a while. But I think open banking certainly kind of brought this problem to market, gave some companies the opportunity to build on those kind of open banking rails and hopefully deliver a good payment solution through it. Now, we're big supporters of open banking. We're on that bus. We support both models, so wallet and open banking. But I'm well aware that open banking still has a journey to go on to be as powerful as it can be in the future. So we're on that journey there. We're supportive of how we get there, but understand that right now we need to provide a multitude of options, I think, for people to be able to get paid faster and to be able to do the paying themselves.
Yeah, and are you kind of right now fairly unique in the fact that you're offering both open banking and wallets? I mean, you'll know your competitor market space better than me, but is it that a number of the other players in the payment space are doing one or the other?
Yeah, I think people have traditionally done one or the other, and I think the beauty of what payments technology is complicated under the hood. the beauty is trying to make it simple at the front, so people don't really think, am I using a wallet or open banking to pay here? It's just a solution and a process that you go through. But yes, I think probably fairly unique in the way that works. Now, look, there's not really any such thing as a USP anymore, and they're only unique for so long. But yeah, definitely think that's one of our strengths, and one of the things that certainly landed well with our business in France, about giving people the options, whether you're an accountant who tends to move more towards the wallet side of it because you don't need to log in to the bank to make the payments, whereas as a business owner you may prefer the open banking route because you log into your bank anyway normally and set the payments up manually, and now we can preload all of the payments into your bank.
Yeah, and can you, just for some of the audience that may not be familiar with all this terminology, can you just explain kind of the two approaches? So if you've got a wallet, what does that mean? What's the normal process, and what might the difference be with an open banking solution?
Yeah, so like for the wallet, you effectively have what essentially like a bank account. So you have a Libeo wallet that you load with funds from your bank. So you transfer funds into it, and then people with the right access can use those funds to effectively pay the invoices. But once the funds are loaded, obviously you don't then need to log into your bank to go and do that. Now, the beauty of like a kind of a wallet is there's no restrictions on bulk payments. So open banking has some restrictions around the ability to do bulk payments. Not every bank supports it yet. And you can only do what you can do with the flexibility of open banking right now. Not every bank really conforms well with open banking either. So the wallet removes all of those challenges. You can do bulk payments, obviously, because you're not transferring it into the bank, and you've got none of those challenges. Obviously, open banking drives you into your bank interface. Some people prefer to make payments directly from their bank, which is legitimate. You can understand why they're able to do that. And if they've got the login details to the bank account, then actually it's relatively simple and relatively easy to do. So they may use that route, but they tend to be the two different ways that payments are made.
Yeah, and I guess the opportunity for accountants, and the way I look at this when I'm looking at what's going on in this space at the moment, I think we have two different situations, and it's kind of why Libeo kind of feels quite interesting to me, because we've got those clients that we're running full outsourced finance functions for, where they want us to make the payments. There needs to be an approval process to enable that to happen. But if we're running their finance function, then there's an expectation that we're going to make the payments. Clearly, we don't want to log into their bank account. Then on the flip side, we've got smaller clients where we might be saying, well, actually, here's some payments that we think you need to make. Here's a link that lets you kind of log into your bank and make all those payments in one go. But we're preparing and we're saying, right, based on your ledger, these are the things that are due for payment now, or payroll or something where they want to make the payment. So that's kind of where this bridges, doesn't it? And why, for me, I look at this and think, it's not just our big outsourced finance function clients, it's those smaller clients that we're doing regular bookkeeping for, that this is a value add opportunity to say, you know what, here's your payment run for this week.
Yeah, I think a lot of it becomes a workflow conversation because you want to use it in a different way. Like you're right, sometimes accountants will have clients who just say, can you just do it all for me? I don't want to touch it, I just want to approve it. I'll say, yes, that amount's fine, can you pay it? And then you can pay it. Some will prefer that the accountant would prepare the payment and say, look, we've prepared it, here it is. Can you now go in, either log into your bank or approve it within the app before the payment can be made? Other sides, you've got business owners that want to take over a little bit more work than that, but want the oversight of an accountant or a bookkeeper to make sure that they're on top of everything. So it is a workflow conversation. I think inbuilt approvals is critical because you think of the traditional process, and I've not met an accountant or bookkeeper yet. I met hundreds in the last 11 weeks, I think, who haven't said we do payments for some clients, mostly then followed by we don't really like doing it. It actually feels quite risky, and then they go into how they do it, and it's like, oh yeah, that doesn't feel perfect. It's like card reader devices locked in like petty cash tins in drawers and delegate access if you can get it into the bank. It's just not a beautiful process. So clearly there's a demand there. Businesses want it, accountants would like to do it, but actually it hits quite high on the riskometer. And also it's not that efficient. So if we can get around that and make it easy for people to do it, and then they can engage with their client how they want to, either we'll do all the payments, we'll prepare the payments, or you can do the vast majority of the work that yourself, but we're here because we've got it connected up with your accounting system as well. So we want to keep those two things in sync, and then we can give you the right kind of advice because all your numbers are up to date.
Yeah, and I think certainly if we think about the opportunity for accountants and bookkeepers, firstly, I think there's a key opportunity here to get some first mover advantage in this space using technology that the majority are not using, and there's a separate conversation there about other majorities still using core general ledger and pre-accounting tools, but that's a conversation for another day. But we got massive benefit out of adopting tools like Go Cardless in 2012 and Receipt Bank in 2011. And it kind of feels like we're at that point again, where the opportunity is to actually use technology that the majority of the market are not using to get a competitive advantage. And certainly when we think about the growth in this outsourced finance function work, to whatever level it is, whether it's you're just doing regular daily or weekly bookkeeping for clients, or you're going all out there running a full finance function, doing credit control, AP, AR, management reporting, and so on. You're absolutely right. The bit that we always felt frustrated by, the last bit of the jigsaw, if you like, was the ability to do payments. And for the reasons that you've said, the risk of having your clients' online banking login details is a big risk. And I think we probably had it for a couple of clients that we kind of had to do it. But clearly this is that piece in the jigsaw, isn't it? That we have an alternative approach now in the way that we do that. So, I mean, you're talking to firms already, Glenn. I mean, you're obviously talking to firms that are using other payment tools and are keen to see what's happening because the market is so early. What kind of things are you hearing in terms of how they talk about the opportunities?
Yeah, I think like most firms are seeing, they see two sides, like one being the virtual FD side, where that feels like, and I've got no data to back this up, but just anecdotally from conversations, feels like an enormously growing area. And kind of virtual FD means something different to different people when you explain it. But I think taking over as much as you can for the client seems to be more common, and maybe it's a generational thing where like younger business owners are now happier to outsource the stuff that either they're not very good at or they don't enjoy doing. But we see more and more of that. So not just compliance, it's I'll give you all this stuff, I'll happily pay you for it because I'd rather be either working in my business, growing it, or I'd just rather be doing stuff in my own personal time that I prefer doing and not doing that. So that's definitely a growth area. And then also that side of accountants and bookkeepers being able to recommend and help clients find the right tools to really fix pain points in their business. And that's where I think Libeo and payments comes in, especially because I think what's attractive about the ecosystem that sits around Sage or QuickBooks or Xero is that actually a lot of those products are like more useful and deliver more value than the core accounting part. Like if you're a restaurateur, it's quite often your POS system that's the most important. Like if you're a manufacturer, it's probably your stock system. Like there's other products that you can get in there that really deliver value back to someone as a business owner. And I think as someone who's trying to get people to use our products, accountants trying to get their customers to use more of those services, what we're all trying to do, I think, is help people run better businesses, be more efficient, and retain their business like long term, and being able to provide solutions that really help that for accountants and bookkeepers. I think it's just one way of doing that, rather than pushing off to someone else and not being able to help. Just say, look, we know your business, these solutions, these tools will help you be more efficient and get them up and running on them.
Yeah, and certainly it feels to me that the challenge we've had, and almost the barrier for until fairly recently with the influx of these payment tools, is that the only thing that really stopped us delivering that full outsource function was the payments bit. So it's great that opportunity is there. We need firm owners to know that opportunity is there and understand how to embrace it, how to embed it, how to make sure it fits within the process. So I'm going to ask you to kind of talk about what Libeo does specifically. You're going to take us through some screenshots. Before we do that, we've got a question in here. Integrations. I mean, I guess clearly you understand the power of APIs and everything else. The question specifically is will this integrate with BrightPay to pay payroll and HMRC? I guess already there's going to be upload capabilities and stuff like that. But what's Libeo's plan around kind of deeper, proper API integrations?
Yeah, look, I can't give any timeframes, but we definitely want to build strong integrations with core accounting and bookkeeping products and payroll solution providers, just to make it simple to transfer data from one place to another. Like, I think the goal is really to provide a world-class payments experience for people using Sage, QuickBooks, and Xero initially, and then also then to work through with the key payroll providers to make it easier then to pay your employees. So
yep.
Yes.
And in terms of and in terms of GLs at the moment, Glenn, are you where are you at with kind of core integrations into the kind of leading GLs at the moment? Are you tackling all of them together, or where you at?
No, we've gone Xero first.
Yeah.
So yeah, Xero's done. So the integration is there, and we've got customers using that and benefiting from it. And then the next one will be Sage, and then we'll move into QuickBooks afterwards. But they don't take too long now. The APIs are pretty flexible. So actually the integrations aren't too much hard work for the team to build.
Perfect, excellent. So I'm going to hand the screen over to you, Glenn, if you want to pull up your slides and just take people through kind of where Libeo is at as a product, things you're doing, give people a flavour of how it works, and hopefully this will generate a whole load of questions for people as we go through it. So get those questions into Q&A. Glenn, over to you.
Thank you. So hopefully you can see those slides.
Yep, all good.
Yeah, so I thought walk you through, I guess, what Libeo looks like. And there's an email address in a little while. If people do want to take a more bespoke demo, then I'll happily walk you through the products and show you exactly how it works, but really try to give a bit of an explanation of where it sits. So look, Libeo, like most products, has a dashboard. You can see like invoices to be paid, invoices to be reviewed, and your wallet amount in there, but it gives you a bit of an interactive view of what's going on within the business at the minute, and then the ability to import invoices in. That's probably important just to say that there's actually in our home market of France, where there's not the adoption of accounting, people tend to use Libeo. The Xero integration, Sage and QuickBooks integrations will be critical to people pulling data in from those products. But if you did use Libeo standalone, you can import the invoices into the system relatively simple. You either upload them, you get a unique email address that people will be familiar with, and then the invoice comes into the system, and the OCR technology extracts all of the information from it. So think DEX auto entry pulls through that information just there. And then what you get is two sides. You've got two approvals effectively. So you've got invoice approval. So if you want to get individual invoices approved, then you can do that. And you can set rules within the system to say, look, Will can approve invoices up to £5,000, but over 5 it needs to go to Glen. And then that will send an email out to those people that need to approve it, and they'll be able to view the invoice and approve or not approve, or ask you to amend it just there. But you'll see all of that audit trail running within the system. So we're keeping approvals neatly tied within the system just there. So there you can see the kind of approval process, drop a message, and off goes that approval. Effectively what people get is a view like this. So Sarah will, this email comes out from Sarah asking you to approve the Chips & Co invoice. You click the see request, go have a look at the invoice, and then you can click to approve it or not. It's effectively what it looks like just there. So one invoice to approve, you can see it, you can write your comments, check the amounts, and then you can't see it just on this screenshot. There's a little approve or request update at the bottom just there, so you can deal with that. So the goal is hopefully we remove the chasing on the telephone, emails, WhatsApp, Slack. There's 47 different ways of communicating with clients, and different people like different things, and we're trying to centralize that, so you've got everything in here, and with the ability to have multiple people invited in. It's not sitting in one person's Slack message, it's not sitting in one person's email. You've got visibility of that approval process going on. Once that approval is approved, or call it validated, then it effectively will tell you that, and it comes back into the system. So once it's moves through the approved, it moves into that pay area. So you'll see that kind of top left, we've got the pay area. That means we're ready to make payments within the system. So here we have then the screen where we've got to pay. So you can see invoices that are ready to be paid. You can see invoices that are in approval. So approval's been submitted, but they haven't been approved just yet. And you've got plan, which is a planned payment. So you have the ability to pay on due dates, which means you can set payments up for future based on the due date that's been extracted from the invoice or pulled through from Xero. Or you can pay now and effectively go through and pay those invoices right now. But you'll see you've got the pay on due date at the top right hand side there, and you can go on through, sort it down into the invoices that you want paying. Quite simple, and you can filter these to make it easy to view, and then go through and pay this invoice. Now, when you pay invoices, it gives you a few options. So, like I said, you can either pay now. So you can click and that will push you through into online banking and you can pay that, or push you through and pay from the wallet. You can indicate a payment outside of Libeo. So for direct debits, card payments, ones that you don't need to pay here, you can indicate that that's paid outside of Libeo, so it kind of completes it. You can also create rules in the system that says, look, if my Xero invoice is always paid by direct debit, so I want to always say that once we get an invoice from Xero, it gets indicated as paid outside of Libeo, and the system will just go and allocate that rule to it and post it there. So you won't need to deal with that or do anything with it. You can request approval. So this is a payment approval. So earlier you've got invoice approval, now we've got payment approval. They can be and often are different people who need to approve different things, but this is effectively approving the request to make a payment for the client. And then you've got the option to pop it on hold. So if there's a supplier dispute or anything, then you can pop the invoice on hold just there. Relatively easy, and then filter that and keep your eye on all those invoices that you've got sitting on hold. I think everyone on this call will probably be aware of the challenges of late payments and things like that. So keeping on top of those people that owe you money is obviously pretty critical. And then when you go through to pay the invoice, sort code, account number extracted, you can see a link to the invoice if you want to go and have a look back on the invoice. And then you can also enter in the supplier's details, or once you build up the contacts list, it will pull through the contacts for you and send a supplier remittance. So if you want to let the supplier know that you've made the payment, then you can just pop that in there and that will send a remittance out to them to let them know, just more of a courtesy than anything else. And look, that's a kind of spin through of the concept and how it works. As I said, we are knocking out demos all over the place at the minute, trying to show people kind of how the product works in depth, trying to liken it to kind of how they work within their processes or typical clients that they've got that might fit onto it. So if people do want to kind of go into a bit more detail and get something a bit more bespoke, then we can get one of the team to walk them through that. And that's just hello@libeo.io. We also got an upcoming partner program, so we know the importance of building a community around accountants and bookkeepers who will kind of not only position our product well, but use it, but also be able there to support clients to migrate over to it. So the partner program's coming. We had a good day with a bunch of accountants who gave us some good feedback on the kind of things that they value around partner programs. So hopefully we'll come out with something that is really useful in the next few weeks.
Thanks for that, Glenn. And you're very much in listening mode as well, aren't you, at the moment, in terms of thinking about the product fit for the UK market, and certainly with your background in terms of working very, very closely with the accountant community, kind of listening to feedback and what we want from a product like this to make our lives, our clients' lives easier.
Yeah, I would I've described it a few times. So we're in feedback mode. So as a business, we're I think a really nice size at 140-ish people. A lot focused on development. We've got the muscle to go and build things that people want, but we're not so big that we've got to go through a whole load of bureaucracy and things like that to get it done. So I think we're agile. But we're really open to listening about how we build a product that UK accountants and bookkeepers want. And you kind of touched on the kind of early mover advantage, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of people on the call here that benefited from that Xero world. And it's the opportunity of this is where we are now, but where can we be in the future, right? So actually, where are we in 12 months' time or 18 months' time? Because there's nothing worse than having to change products. I can't imagine it was much fun moving your cash flow base, Will, over to zero, and not something you'd probably choose to do again too easily.
Yeah, I'd rather not relive it. It was a painful 18 months, particularly because there was no move my books for us. We had to kind of build our own technology to do it. But yeah, I mean, we want to try and make sure we select the right products, but equally kind of recognizing that just because we make a choice on a product, clearly we're always looking beyond what we're doing right now, and I think everybody should be doing that and not getting too blinkered in terms of the decisions we make around technology. But anything we can do to make the right choice up front is better. So no Q&A yet. If anybody's got any questions from Glen's run through there of how the product works, what the opportunities are, partner program that's forthcoming, pop those in a chat. So what does the next 3 months look like for Libeo then, Glen?
Yeah, look, we're head down at the minute addressing some of the feedback that we've had fairly early on. There's some key things that we want to deliver, like the ability to auto load the wallet, so you don't need to log into the bank to do that, which is really, really neat because it removes another friction point. International payments. So like in France, we've got Wise embedded within Libeo. We will do the same in the UK. So we want to make cross-border payments like cost effective and easy to do within the product. Obviously more integrations that we want to build, and then start to build out more kind of accountant focused functionality based on the feedback that we've had, more bulk approval type functionality, granular approvals, so the ability to like have multiple layers. At the minute you can have multiple people approved, but you can't necessarily say it goes to Will first, then it goes to Glen, then it goes to someone else. We think that's that next phase, and some of the conversations we have with mid-market solutions like Sage Intact, that's the kind of functionality that they will want for a good integration.
Yeah. Perfect. And we've had a question, the typical question that we always get on these kind of things around costings. We'll come to that in just a moment, Gavin. So we'll touch on that for you in just a moment. So while we do that, I'm just going to bring my my slides back up as we head towards wrapping up. We always like to finish these sessions with like what are the key takeaways. If you don't do anything or take anything away from this, here's the stuff that we'd suggest you do think about. We've touched on this kind of first mover advantage. I've had a look down the attendee list. I know there's a number of names there that jump out as people that will know exactly what the power is of really being bold enough to try different things early in the process. This is another one of those opportunities to influence perhaps the way the product evolves. The kind of opportunities we had to influence Xero's thinking was probably quite different in 2011, 2012 to kind of where we are today. That same opportunity exists here, and many of you will know Glen and know that he'll always listen. Take some pain away from clients in a risk-free environment. So this whole concept of we want to do payments, but it's too risky for us to do payments. The opportunity is here now for us to think differently about that and build a service offering that may not work for every client, but there will be clients in your portfolio that will love to have somebody else deal with this stuff for them. And Glen made the point around millennial Gen Z business owners that just have a different attitude to the majority of Gen X baby boomers, in that they'll look at what they do, they'll look at the time they have available and say, you know what, somebody else can do that because I can then focus on the things that are important in my business, or I can have time with friends and family and not have to sit there doing bookkeeping, doing payments or whatever. Save time and hassle for yourselves and for your clients, kind of makes sense. Be at the forefront of payments technology for your clients. Let's be proactive in talking to clients so we don't get what we see a lot of times. And in the early days with Xero, it was those kind of forward-thinking clients that might have come to you and said, hey, I've heard about Xero, I've heard about cloud accounting. So let's look at those. Specifically think about hospitality, medical, construction, e-commerce businesses. Glen, I guess these are sectors that in your other markets you've seen have really adopted and got value out of this. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. To our co-founders, for partner life for restaurateurs, and that's where the concept of Libeo came from. Spending lots of time like dealing with admin and not growing their restaurant businesses. But hospitality, medical, construction, e-commerce tend to be businesses that kind of over-index on the number of supplier payments that they make, and it can be quite painful for them. So yeah, they're definitely an area that we focus on to really try and help those businesses get better. And I love with hospitality, it's just like I'm passionate about it. Firstly, I like food. But secondly, they've had a pretty rough couple of years with COVID. So it's just great to be able to maybe give them some technology that gives them some more time to focus on getting people back through the door and delivering great services in restaurants and other hospitality type businesses.
Yeah. Excellent. So to answer Gavin's question, so firstly, Libeo is free until the 1st of September. So you have an opportunity here. You can set up an account, use the system, and you're not going to get charged anything until the 1st of September. Glen, pricing beyond that? I mean, we have a price here. You're kind of new to UK market. Where's the thinking on how this might evolve and where we are? You're talking partner programs and things at the moment. What can you share?
Yeah, so look, we've got one fixed price at the minute, so we don't limit payments numbers, and we don't charge anything for the payments. It's a fixed subscription fee of £29 per month, unlimited payments. So you can go off and pay as many people as you want. But in the future, when we build in more granular approval levels and things like that, then we may go up market and have 2 or 3 options for pricing, but at the minute we feel like that's a fair price for the value that Libeo delivers back to their customers. But hopefully it's transparent and easy for accountants and bookkeepers to be able to roll into their services, because it's not going to be a variable cost. Like, you're not going to get different fees come in. You know exactly what you'll be paying. It's easier then to on charge that to clients should you want to. Yeah.
Perfect. And we've had some questions come in, so let me just have a look at these. So a couple from Ian: does Libeo offer any flexibility on contact methods for particular approvers, e.g. sending approval by text message for the business owner who doesn't check email?
Not at the minute, but it is something we'd love to do. It's something been discussed, like WhatsApp integration for business and things like that. There's lots of things that you can do there to make it easier, but still centralize those approvals. So yeah, not right now, but definitely something that we'd love to deliver.
Yeah. And for your current and planned GL integrations, what data does Libeo push back into the GL? It would be quite nice to have an on-hold invoice pushed into awaiting approval in Xero, for example, or having some way of pushing the will be paid outside Libeo status into the GL.
So it pulls down everything that's awaiting payment in Xero into Libeo. Then as payments are made, it pushes back into Xero to say that the payment's been made, and obviously then the amounts go into bank rec and get matched off against the invoice that's in there. So that's typically how it works. I'm just reading the question. It's awaiting approval, so it won't pull draft invoices in until they're set to awaiting approval. Can it be stored? Sort code account number, yes, can be stored in Libeo, and it gives you a flag if any of them are changed. So if you change a sort code or account number, you'll get a flag come up that say it's been changed, so you can just double check that it was a legitimate change of contact details.
Yeah, and certainly when we got together recently, Glenn, that was kind of one of the big conversations, wasn't it, around some of the payment control mechanisms that are in place around changing bank details and so on.
Definitely.
Yeah. And last one from Gavin. I mean, I'm guessing you don't know the answer to this yet, but in terms of the partner program, any thoughts on what it's going to look like in terms of discount levels, improvements, in terms of getting feedback from the partner channel around product improvements and so on? Is it a case of
sorry, I lost you for a second. Well, yes, the discounts. Obviously, we'll roll discounts into it. I think like content and assistance with getting your team up to speed. I think the one thing that came out of the day that we spent with a number of accountants was support and training were the things that were jumping out. We don't need a certificate. We don't need badges and things like that necessarily, but what we do need is help to get up and running ourselves and help to get our clients up and running. So I think like a VIP support experience, faster onboarding of clients. So if you do kind of the KYC stuff, there's lots of payment businesses do if people are using the wallet. So actually making sure that's a really slick process. So we are just refining that We'll roll out with a version 1 partner program that adds some value, and then continue to take feedback. And 12 months time, it will probably look quite different in the things that we've built in there. But we are embedding, hopefully, a community platform into our product. So actually, like, trying to build a proper community where people can come and can learn about payments specifically, can get educated on it, because it's a complex area. But the one thing we can all do for business owners is help them get paid that a little bit faster. So I think we can help provide content, education, support to our business owners and accountants and bookkeepers.
Yep. Another question popped up from Jenny. I've no idea at all why Jenny's asking this this question. Any plans to add payroll payments? And to emphasize on that, Jenny's building or built a cloud-based payroll product. So maybe a conversation for you there, Glenn. But you mentioned earlier integrations. You're kind of keen to look at opportunities there.
Definitely. So yeah, hit me up, Jenny. Love to have a chat. But yes, payroll is critical. Like payroll, supplier bills, like all of that stuff entwined in one with international payments and approvals. We want a platform that means that you can take the bits that you need to support your clients, but Libeo will scale as your businesses kind of grow or need or don't need different functionality.
Excellent. Anyone, I think we've done this before, Glenn, because we are 4 minutes to 2:45. So in terms of a wrap up, firstly, everyone seems to have stayed with us for the whole 45 minutes. So that's always a good indicator. The number of questions we had come in is always a good indicator that the session has resonated. So thank you to everybody that's taken time out of their busy afternoon to join us today. Thank you to Glenn and the guys from Libeo for being involved with us this month. So all that's left to say is don't forget, drop Glenn a line, hello@libeo.io, if you want to get on, hear about the upcoming partner program, sign up for a trial to use the product for free until September. We will send a follow-up email with everybody with the recording, as well as all of the emails and contacts that you need to be able to follow up on those opportunities. So thank you, Glenn. It's always a pleasure. And look forward to chatting with you again over the events that are coming up over the rest of the year. And thanks everyone for taking the time. Have a good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming.